Good evening everyone! Weekend na naman, nandito naman tayo sa ating channel. Malamig pa rin po, balot na balot pa rin kami pag lumalabas. Pero wala po tayong magagawa dyan. Choice po natin ang pumunta dito sa Canada and we have to live with it. So last week po, nag-practice tayo ng IELTS listening test. Ngayong gabi naman po, magpa-practice tayo ng reading test. Tip ko lang po, basahin muna ang mga tanong para alam nyo po kung anong hahanapin nyo at kung anong tatandaan nyo dun sa binabasa nyo. Second tip, dahan-dahan po ang pagbabasa para po ma-absorb nyo yung binabasa nyo. Although may mga tao pong kahit mabilis sila magbasa, na-absorb nila. Well, good for them. Happy naman tayo para sa kanila. Third tip, mag-practice po ng mag-practice. Marami naman pong available na sample IELTS test online. Ngayon, kung di naman po kayo pala rin, pag nag-take kayo ng IELTS, pwede naman po kayong mag-take ulit. Unlimited pa nga. Wala naman pong restriction. At kahit kailan po pwede kayong magpa-register para mag-exam ulit. So, practice na po tayo ng reading test. Okay, so nandito ulit tayo sa cicnews.com. And then, pupunta na naman tayo sa Tools and Resources, yung pangatlo, IELTS Practice Test. IELTS, International English Language Testing System, ay ang standardized test na nire-recognize ng Citizenship and Immigration Canada or CIC na magpapatunay ng kaalaman ninyo sa wikang Ingles para makapag-migrate dito sa Canada. Ang ilang aplikante ay kailangan mag-take ng IELTS para maipakita nila na may sapat silang kaalaman sa wikang Ingles para makisalamuha at makapagtrabaho sila rito. Ngayon po, ipapakita ko po sa inyo kung paano sagutin ang mga katanungan. At para maging pamilyar kayo sa IELTS test. Dito po sa website na ipapakita ko sa inyo ngayon, mayroon po silang 8 free IELTS practice tests available. So, 2 listening, 2 reading, 2 writing, at 2 speaking. Ang mga test po or pagsasanay na ito ay ginawa ng mga IELTS professionals para mabigyan kayo ng idea kung paano isinasagawa ang IELTS test. Dito po, ang listening at reading test lang po ang automatically graded. Press na natin itong reading practice test 1. Ayan. So, gawin natin itong section 1. So, umpisahan na natin. Punta tayo dito sa reading test. Ayan. Scroll down tayo. Ang section 1 ay a very brief history of time. So, babasahin natin yan. These days, time is everything. We worry about being late. We rush to get things done or to be somewhere, and our daily schedules are often planned down to the minute. Of course, none of this would have been possible without the humble clock. The internationally accepted division of time into regular, predictable units has become an essential aspect of almost all modern societies. Yet the history of time keeping is almost as old as civilization itself. Nearly 3,000 years ago, societies were using the stars in order to keep track of time to indicate agricultural cycles. Then came the sundial, an Egyptian invention in which the shadow cast by the sun was used to measure the time not of the seasons but of the day. So tatandaan ko na po yung phrase dito na then came the sundial, an Egyptian invention in which the shadow cast by the sun was used to measure the time not of the seasons, but of the day. So, pang-araw lang po siya. Yun ang tatandaan ko dyan. The first manufactured clock, believed to have come from Persia, was a system which recreated the movements of the stars. So, tatandaan ko po yan. All the celestial bodies, which had been used to tell the time of year, were plotted onto an intricate system in which the planets rotated around each other. Not being dependent on either sunlight or a clear night, this was one of the earliest systems to divide a complete day. Although ingenious for its time, this method suffered from incorrect astrological assumptions of the period in which it was believed that the Earth was the center of the universe. Tandaan ko yung, ang first manufactured clock pala ay pinaniniwalaan na nanggaling sa Persia. Yan, tatandaan ko po yan. The Greeks were next to develop a more accurate clock using water to power a mechanism that counted out the divisions of the day. The simplest water clock consisted of a large urn that had a small hole located near the base and a graduated stick attached to a floating base. The hole would be plugged while the urn was being filled with water, and then the stick would be inserted into the urn. The stick would float perpendicular to the surface of the water, and when the hole at the base of the urn was unplugged, the passage of time was measured as the stick descended farther into the urn. So, ang tatandaan ko po dito ay yung water clock. Yan, na mga Greek ang gumawa. Next paragraph po. Then, for nearly 1,000 years, there was a little in the way of progress in time, keeping until the European invention of spring-powered clocks in the late 14th century. Unreliable and inaccurate, the early models of these clocks were useful to new advances. In 1656, Christian Huygens, a Dutch scientist, made the first pendulum clock, which had an error of less than 1 minute a day. The first time such accuracy had been achieved. His later refinements reduced his clock's error to less than 10 seconds a day. Some years later, Huygens abandoned the pendulum for a balance wheel and spring assembly, which allowed a whole new generation timepiece, the wristwatch. Still found in some of today's wristwatches, the improvement allowed portable 17th century watches to keep time to 10 minutes a day. So, ang tatandaan ko po dito sa pendulum clock ay yung later refinements reduced the clock's error to less than 10 seconds a day. So, yung pendulum clock, error 10 seconds a day. At ang pumalit po sa pendulum clock ay ang wristwatch. Yan. While clock making and musical chime clocks became increasingly popular, it was the invention of the cuckoo clock designed and made by Franz Anton Ketterer, which really caught people's imagination. The design was not particularly complex. The clock was mounted on a headboard, normally a very elaborate carving reflecting the tastes of the artist. Many of the original cuckoo clocks are still kept today because of the artwork on the headboard. So, ang matatandaan ko po sa cuckoo clock ay yung artwork on the headboard. Using the traditional circular pendulum design, the clock could run accurately for up to a week, using a weight to keep the pendulum in motion. Again, the weight was often carved with a design, making the whole clock an art form as well as a timepiece. The most innovative feature of these cuckoo clocks, as the name implies, is that a small carved cuckoo came out of the clock to chime the hour. Particularly ingenious was the placement of bellows inside the clock, which were designed to recreate the sound made by the bird, although later models included a lever on the bottom of the clock which could be used to stop this hourly chime. Refinements to this original pendulum concept meant that by 1721, the pendulum clock remained accurate to within 1 second per day by compensating for changes in the pendulum's length due to temperature variations. Over the next century, further refinements reduced this to 100th of a second a day. In the 1920s, a new era of clockmaking began, which is still popular today, the quartz clock. When under pressure, quartz generates an electric field of relatively constant frequency, and it was discovered that this electric signal was sufficient to power a clock. Quartz crystal clocks were better because they had fewer moving parts to disturb their regular frequency. Even so, they still rely on a mechanical vibration, and this depends on the size of the crystal, and as no two crystals can be exactly alike, there is a degree of difference in every quartz watch. So, ang tatandaan ko po dito sa quartz clock ay they are better because they had fewer moving parts to disturb their regular frequency. So, yun po ang tatandaan ko dyan. Comparing performance to price, it is understandable that quartz clocks still dominate the market, yet they are no longer the most accurate. Scientists had long realized that each chemical element in the universe emits electromagnetic radiation at its own specific frequencies. These resonances are inherently stable, thus forming the basis for a reliable system of time measurement, all the more so because no moving parts are needed to record these resonances. Yet the cost of these atomic clocks mean that such timekeeping precision is a long way from becoming common. So, ang matatandaan ko po dito, atomic clock po ang most accurate. Ngayon, sasagutin na natin. We're ready to answer questions 1 to 15. So, dito na tayo sa questions 1 to 8. Match a type of clock to a description. Write letter A to H in boxes 1 to 8 on your answer sheet. Ayan. Ayan, may tanong tungkol sa quartz clock, cuckoo clock, sundial, Persian clock, wristwatch, pendulum, atomic clock, at saka po yung water clock. So, ito po yung mga pagpipilian. Relied on basic scientific principles. It was the first to replace the pendulum. Is the most common method of timekeeping. Is the most accurate clock. Is the earliest known method of measuring time during the day. Was inaccurate because of misconceptions of the age. Was often highly ornamental. Had only a 10-second margin of error per day. Dito na po papasok yung tinandaan natin kanina tungkol sa particular clock. So, number 1, quartz clock. Mamimili tayo dito. I think it's letter B. It was the first to replace the pendulum. Tingnan ko lang. So, yung cuckoo clock, ang natandaan ko dyan yung ornament. Yung salitang ornament. So, letter G was often highly ornamental. Number 3, sundial. Ang tatandaan ko dyan, pang-araw lang yan. Kasi nga, sundial. So, ang answer ko dyan ay Ayan. It is the earliest known method of measuring time during the day. So, letter E. May day. Yan. Persian clock. Persian clock. Lagay ko muna F kasi hindi ako sigurado dyan. F was inaccurate because of misconceptions of the age. Wristwatch.
So many moving parts.
Is the most common method of timekeeping. Lagay ko muna dyan. Not sure. So, pendulum. Was inaccurate because of Okay, had only... Okay, ang pendulum na tatandaan ko dyan had only a 10-second margin of error per day. So, lalagay natin ay letter H. Yeah. Atomic clock, ang natatandaan ko dyan, accurate yan. So, napin ko yan. Letter D is the most accurate clock. Yeah. Sana tama tayo. Water clock. Ito na lang ang natitira, relied on basic scientific principles. So, siya nating lalagay dyan. Kasi yan na lang. Yan. Hindi ako sigurado dito sa mga answers ko. So, sagutin na rin natin itong questions 9 to 12. Label the diagram below using the words from the text. No more than one word. So, one word lang. Number 9, headboard. Headboard yan, nabasa ko yan. Headboard. Number 10, weight. Oh, yan. Weight yan. Weight. Number 11, parang pendulum. Lever. No. Lagay ko nga pendulum. Hindi ko matandaan ito. Lagay ko na lang pendulum. Number 12. Ayan, natatandaan ko, bellows. So, questions 13 to 15. Complete the following summary using words from the box below. Write A to F in boxes 13 to 15. Although quartz clock are cheaper, the atomic clock is the most accurate. Letter C, alam ko yan. And it does not rely on any moving parts. Letter I, sorry. Yan. So, tingnan na natin ang mga answers natin. Hindi ako sigurado dito. Okay, so quartz clock, letter C. Mali tayo dyan. So, cuckoo clock, letter G. Tama tayo dyan. Sundial, correct. Persian clock, letter F. Tama tayo. Wristwatch, Letter B, mali tayo dyan. Pendulum. Letter H, correct. Atomic clock, tama tayo dyan. Pinaka-accurate. Water clock, letter A. So, tama tayo dyan. Number 9. Headboard, tama tayo. 10. Weight, tama tayo. Number 11. Pendulum, tama tayo. At number 12. Bellows, correct. So, 13 to 15. Number 13. Letter A is cheaper. Number 14. Accurate. Letter C. At number 15. Moving parts. Letter I. So, tama tayo ng 3. Tama tayo ng 4, 7. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 correct answers tayo out of 15. So, it's not bad. So, yun po. Natapos na naman ang ating episode ngayong gabi. Again, sana po may natutunan kayo. Sasamahan ko ulit kayo next week para mag-search ng mga information na makakapag-prepare sa inyo sa application nyo papunta dito. At para matupad yung pangarap nyo na makapunta dito, protektahan nyo po at tuparin ang pangarap na yan. Thank you all for watching. Take care. God bless. I'll see you next time. Have a great weekend, everyone. Bye! Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. At supportahan niyo po yung channel natin. Bye!